I'm going to touch on a little bit of it really quick. And that is vertical real estate. You never heard of that, huh? But let me tell you this. Everybody who has over $50 million already probably invest in it in some form. If not in some kind of group fund, they actually own the nuts and bolts of vertical real estate. And let me explain what it is. Vertical real estate isn't buying floors in buildings going up. What vertical real estate is the real estate on poles, like traffic signals with cameras on them, and red light cameras, and satellite towers, and uh, microwave towers, and cell phone towers, all of these things that go up. Well, people buy shares of stock in these things. And when you pass through a light going 70 and a 55, they get a few pennies from that because they help build it. You see what I'm saying? They help build this technology and put these cameras and stuff up, so they get a percentage of it, like a toll booth, like a toll system. You're paying to go through, and they're getting a percentage of it. That's what vertical real estate is, people. And you are the patsy. You are the person being manipulated. You are the person that the beta system that they're putting together is working to entrap. All you have to do is do your research, and you can see that everything that I'm telling you is a fact. It's what's going on right now around you, and you have been blind to it because you don't have the information. Well, today, starting today, you have enough information to go further if you choose to. Or you can stay blind and do everything you want in front of every camera you see. Think that you are safe in any type of vehicle and let your vehicles drive you all around, and use every bit of technology that's put in front of you like you can trust it, or you can be skeptical and use it knowing that others can control it without your consent. And you've actually signed it, they can do that. You've signed on a dotted line. If you don't believe it, look at your new modified terms of service for almost anything that you would be utilizing today. You might have noticed that you've gotten several new terms of service from all your providers. And every time you get a new app, you have to fill out this thing. You have to check this box. You're supposed to read this long legalistic thing and then check the box, but you don't read it. You just check the box. Well, that's giving them the ability to access and manipulate the data within your system. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what's going on, people. You got to figure out what you're going to do with this information I'm giving you. Your vote can change a lot of it. How you vote, whether you get politicians and professionals in there who know about this stuff, instead of a bunch of people who are living back in the 70s and 80s and don't know about this new technology. They've never heard of IoT, Internet of Things. They've never heard of vertical real estate, but they're running your city or your state or whatever. They've never heard of it. They don't even know how to work Facebook. What you better do is get some internet and digital savvy people out in front so that they can try to control this explosion, this avalanche, this wave of technology that we're being hit with. It's not new. It's just new to you. It's new to the common people, but it's been around for years. Was developed by DARPA. If you know what DARPA is, then you understand. If you don't know what DARPA is, you need to go look it up. That's DARPA. Find out what that is. Find out what the dark web is. Find out what IoT is, Internet of Things, and find out what vertical real estate is. Real estate up the pole and up into space, vertical, because that's where the new technology is. That's where the new money is. It's all in cyberspace. Cyberspace technology. You got Volvo. They're getting ready to switch their entire car line over to electric cars like Fisker and what's the other one? The other one, all electric cars. I can't think of it right now, but they're switching over to full electric and uh, uh, self-driving technology. Do you want a car driving you around and you're not in control? A car that can control where you're going. It can. Suppose a computer get hacked while you're driving the car. Maybe China has a hacking program that can hack 10 million vehicles all at the same time and make them go AWire all over the streets of America all at the same time. I mean, cars with cameras in it that can see, and they have traffic avoidance systems in them. All you have to do is reverse that technology instead of trying to move away from targets and braking. The braking becomes speeding up, and the steering left becomes steering right, and stopping becomes go, and go becomes stop. I mean, just think of the possibilities, the horrible, the crazy, the insane technological hell that you can find yourself in an instant, just like that. Think about it. Well, you didn't know about this, but now you do. Tell somebody. Tell them to come to my channel and check it out, because I know about this stuff. This is what I do. I'm not going to tell you exactly what I do, but this is what I do. Even, you see this watch? This is a real watch. You see this watch right here? This isn't a watch at all. Sometimes I have them both on, and people say, why do you wear two watches? That's because this watch is a camera. It's not a watch at all. It has a watch on it. It actually works. But this is a watch. This is a camera. So I can be sitting across from you and videotaping and listening to everything you say, and then take it and give it to the appropriate person. And they got information on you. Not for public consumption. But still, they got the information. I can also take that watch off and leave it somewhere, and somebody thinks, wow, I got me a nice watch. And now they got something that's recording everything they do until I get it back from them, or someone else does. So don't always fall for everything you see. We don't live in the 1970s anymore. We live in the year 2017, soon to be the year 2018. The technology is 50 to 100 years ahead of where you think it is right now. And the technology that's being introduced to you was actually created in the 1960s. Yeah, that's right, the 1960s. And people were trained in the military on it, and trained in intelligence services and other governmental agencies back in the 70s and 80s. And those are the people who are the experts now. Not these people who you see, these little 30-year-old guys who supposedly at 18, these super smart kids, they supposedly came up with Facebook and Twitter and Google and all this stuff. And they're so smart, and they didn't come up with anything. They were recruited and given this technology, and they were put out front to get this stuff off the ground. It's actually being controlled and manipulated by others. That's another bit of information. So when you see all these guys out there pushing this stuff and acting like they created it, they didn't create anything. They're using it. They are people who were put in positions to control it, the face of it. They're cutouts. I'm going to talk more about cutouts. This is going to be a pretty long video. So If you're not into learning and you just want some fluff, then you're in the wrong place. Because I'm going to give you some information that you can use on your own to learn a lot more about what I'm talking about here today. The reason why my videos aren't doing that good right now is because of you. You're not spreading it. You're not sharing it. You watch it, but you don't share it with anybody. The other channels, they have audiences that YouTube is giving them. YouTube is not suppressing what they do, but YouTube, much of the information that I give, YouTube don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that when you take that picture, that little picture on your digital camera, it's not a picture. It's actually digital information. It's a digital tracking system. So when you send that picture through the internet to another party, now you've created a tunnel from your system, your computer, from your private life to theirs. And every intersection in there has an opportunity to pick that information off and follow it to both ends. Their end and your end, and back to the middle. And every intersecting spot within that line. Do you see what you're doing? Do you see how your information is being controlled and serialized and digitized and captured hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe millions of times? Who is your computer made by? Is it made by Google? Is it made by the Chinese? Is it made by the Koreans? Is it made by some other party? Your internet, who is it by? Is it a German company? Your phone, is it a German company? Who owns it? What does your terms of service say? Have you ever read it? What do you search on the internet? What do you watch? You. What do you watch on the internet? What do you do in front of your camera while you're searching and utilizing the internet? Well, today is Awakening Day for you. It's a chance for you to get back control, at least some control. Some control. You're not going to do without these devices. That's not going to happen. But what you can do is you can put a dampener on this information and slow down the flow of intelligence from your home and from your environment to wherever it's going. And that's multiple places at multiple times and at all times. Never do anything on the internet or on your phone or in your car or in front of any device that you're not in full control of, because it's connected to the internet and it has its own computer in it, and you didn't make that computer. Never do anything in front or around or talk or do anything around those systems that you wouldn't do in front of your grandmother. And some of you might have some pretty cool grandmothers. So make sure that you're talking about that grandmother that is not too cool. That's old fashioned, that's square, that whatever you want to call it. That's a nerd, whatever. Do it in front of that goofy grandmother, the one that you respect. Make sure that you don't do anything in front of those things that you wouldn't do in front of her. And you'll be okay. Other than that, somebody like me is going to be looking at it. They're going to be scrutinizing it. They're going to be turning it over. They're going to be flipping it back around. They're going to be lining it up. And when the time is appropriate, if it becomes appropriate, you'll see it again. And then you'll be compromised. How many of our politicians, how many of our senators and congressmen and judges and police officers and mayors and governors and state's attorneys have been compromised by their own doing, by their own hand. But trust me, it's a lot of them. And some of them who live by the sword, who's been doing this for years, they're getting ready to fall by the sword. They're going to fall on their own sword as a result of their own actions. 702. You don't know what that is. Well, 702 is an intelligence rule that it allows them to do certain things with digital data that they receive surreptitiously through mass intelligence gathering from all sources, and their ability to sector off some of it and actually go into the digital information and reassemble it uh, uh, unencrypted so that they can actually see what that data is in our way of seeing things. So 702 is not really necessary. It's just busy work. I mean, it's just nonsense. They have the information already. They just can't legally use it without 702. You understand what I'm saying? They have it. They can look at it all day. They can scrutinize it. They can manipulate it. They can send it. They can show it to each other. But what they can't do is they can't say, aha, I got you. Because they have to have a legal reason to be there. And if they don't have a legal reason to be there, then it's not admissible in court. And so 702 is a way that they can get that admissibility standard met so that they can take that and they can use it as a hammer, as a bludgeon against you or whoever they need to, if they need to. Sometimes it's very valid, the use of this, but other times it's used as a tool to try to defame and destroy and obstruct the righteous. But even the righteous makes mistakes. And that's why I'm giving you this information, so you don't make as many mistakes, so you know what's going on around you. Just because you turn a switch off doesn't mean it can't digitally be turned back on. You know, your computer wants you to teach it how to communicate better. So it tells you to talk to the computer so it can recognize your voice. But what you're actually doing is teaching it your voice pattern, but you're teaching it also colloquialisms and different ways of slang language and things that vernacular that common people to your area uses. So it's just not regular straight English. It's also the vernacular of the common people in your area. So you're educating your computer to spy on you and spy on others in your area. That's not altogether bad all the time. But do you want a spy living in your house? Well, if you don't, get rid of the Internet of Things that lives in your home. You're bringing it in there. You're bringing in vacuum cleaners that vacuum all over the house, and that you might be able to clap or command to do certain things. Well, how does this computer understand what you told it? Because ever since the 1970s, we've been teaching computers how to understand people. They understand more than you do now. They can understand Spanish, English, German, French, Russian. One computer can know all that. All you have to do is switch the language and it'll respond to either language that you put in it. You can translate anything into any language, no matter how obscure you might think it is. The computer knows how to decipher it. And you use that, and you should. But just understand that it wasn't all put there for you to use. It's not just a wonderland for you to take advantage of. It's a reason why it was given to you. Because evil people are some of the most paranoid people in the world. They need to know everything. They need to know if the gig is up. They don't want to get caught eating cake, if you know what I mean, like the French Revolution. So, with that in mind, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about Russia for a minute. I spent years uh, while the world was entrenched in all kinds of warfare with Russia. I'm not a fan of Russia. I'm not their enemy, but I'm not a friend of theirs either. I'm an American. I'm an American patriot. The Russians get rough, then I'm coming against the Russians. If anybody gets rough with the United States, I'm against them. So with that said, I want to say this. In World War II, where were the Russians? What position did they fulfill in the world of things that went on during the World War II situation? I think they were on our side. They helped stop the Germans by attacking them from their eastern flank, keeping them from being able to concentrate all their forces against the Allied forces that were attacking them from the west and the south. Do you remember that? Now, let's move forward to today. As soon as now before Trump won the election, there was a reset button. There was wait until I get elected, then I'll have more room. Remember that? But right after Trump won, all of a sudden, the Russians were the worst enemy in the world. And Trump shouldn't have any contact with them. Stay away. Don't talk to the Russians. Don't coordinate with the Russians. Who coordinated with the Russians during World War II? Now, what's more important is what would have happened if the Allies didn't coordinate with Russia during World War II. You think Hitler would have fared a lot better? You think the war might have turned out a little bit different if Russia hadn't have came at the Germans and lost millions of men, some women and children, in the cold fighting against a common foe? So who's the common foe now? Is it Donald Trump? Or is it somebody else? Who's against Russia? Hitler was against Russia. Well, who's against Russia now and why? Russia slammed the back door on the Russians. Russia slammed the back door on the Germans during World War II. So the Germans didn't have anywhere to go. Who's going to do that now to the globalists? If America and Russia doesn't coordinate with each other, where's the failsafe? Where's the relief switch? Where's the thing that's going to keep them honest? Is there another force that can rival the United States other than Russia? Does Europe have a fighting force? Not Germany, not France, not England, not Poland. When I'm talking about all of Europe, is there a force? I think Trump just cut the budget by, I believe it was $285 million from a group. Who was that group? Who would stand most to gain by keeping Russia and the United States from having détente and working together? Who would have the most to gain from keeping those two parties from working together and being a counterbalance to any evil doers that might want to uh, cause another catastrophe like World War I or World War II? When you have two powerful nations such as the United States and Russia working together, it's hard for any entity to do evil will against both countries at the same time. But if you can divide them, if you can keep them separated, then you can keep one busy while you dismantle the other. You can keep one scared while you destroy the other one. You can fool one group while you undercut the other. Well, if you don't want them to do that, then wake up. Because America is different from other countries. Your individual voice matters. You have to make sure that you understand this information and you get this information to people who understand it as well. And that you know history. I mean, television used to be full of history and information to make you smarter, but now they've removed all that and filled it with stuff like the Kardashians and what is it, Pawn Stars and all kinds of stuff like that. Dancing with the Stars. What are you going to learn from that? They used to have shows on telling you about what happened during Russia and World War II and what happened during World War I. Where the axis of evil was and how it was dealt with. Why D-Day worked. You don't see that information out there for you to get anymore. It's not out there. So if you want things to fall apart, then keep being dumb. Don't learn this information. Don't share it. Don't send this to somebody so they can learn something too. Keep following the white rabbit. Keep looking at these channels that's telling you that somebody named Q-Anon is leading you in the right direction.